Okay, welcome David Judge from Affordable Staff, and I have Andrew Reece here from Inspect Real Estate. How are you, Andrew?
I'm very well, thanks, David. Yourself?
Yeah, very, very good. And we're here to talk to Andrew today about outsourcing, because Andrew has had some interesting experiences with outsourcing, and he has been worked with us for a period of time as a long-term client. So,
over 10 years, I think.
Yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? That's
Two different businesses?
Yes, and a lot more hair from me. Okay, so first of all, can you start off by telling us a little bit about your business?
Okay, Inspect Real Estate is an online software business that specialises in software for the property industry. We now have over 1,100 clients that use Inspect Real Estate, both here in Australia and New Zealand. Basically, our primary product is like you would book a hotel online or you would book like an inspection. So that inspection is what we control on behalf of 6,500 real estate agents. Their diaries are put online, and then a particular property seeker can then go and book an inspection directly into the online diary of the agency.
It's growing fast, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago when we were talking, and you're at the early stages, so that's excellent. So let's get into the interesting questions. And first of all, can you just talk a little bit around why you decided to outsource?
Outsource, okay. It's a funny sort of term. What I first say, I'd actually call it insourcing.
Yes.
Right? Because if you look at our organisation, yes, we're based in Brisbane, but we've got 46 people all over Australia and New Zealand, and technically some in your office as well, which is, you may call it outsourcing, but really it's insourcing. They're part of our team.
Yes.
Okay. So why we really contacted David for really the second round of the business was to try and find some more people to meet deadlines and stuff that we needed done. So really outsourcing or insourcing gave us a great capacity to have access to a lot more people fast. Yes. To be able to meet some objectives and deadlines that we need to get done. Yes,
and I've never actually had anyone call it insourcing beforehand, but you are right, because the way that we work generally is the person does become a part of the team and an integral part of the team, because they have to be able to not only come into the business but pick up the knowledge and then be able to run and continue to upskill to learn the other parts of the business, which just has that continuing ongoing cycle of them working with you.
Oh, I view it as no different to, yes, that they could be working in Sydney or they could be working in New Zealand. We have 3 team members in New Zealand, so why is it any different to being a team member overseas? A lot of people, I think that it's a factor you do which is based on cost. Cost is a little bit of a saving, but it's primarily, at the moment, we're trying to find 2 support people and we're unable to fulfill those roles. We're out there recruiting, looking, where you can ring David and say, hey, we want a deadline of this particular job done by next Friday, can you achieve it? And the answer is yes.
Yes. Right? Yes. Yeah. So let's just discuss briefly around trust, because I think trust is a big factor for a lot of people when it comes to outsourcing. Can you just talk a little bit around insourcing, the importance, do you think, around trust when it comes to this type of thing? Yeah, well, obviously there are a lot of organisations that are out there. How do you know that the person you've engaged has been properly recruited, okay, is monitored right? Trust to me is that we're giving access to some of our information and data, yes. And how do you know that they're going to look after it appropriately? So that's why, knowing David for 10 years, and again, this being the second sort of business having David involved with, I trust him and I trust his team. I trust the people that you engage in your team to assist us. Yes. And without that level of trust, they could be sitting at home in a chook pen. How do you really know, right? And yes. So from that factor, having seen your organisation and the way that you operate, we are very comfortable that you're able to protect our information. And it's what's really interesting when you talk about trust. And so in a lot of ways, and I've spoken to multiple clients about this, a lot of ways you could have a person that's working for you locally or overseas, and they realistically, irrespective of whatever measures you have in place, you can put in the world's greatest non-disclosure undertakings, which we have, ones where you could potentially throw someone in jail if you wanted to. At the end of the day, you will still have that fact where people will take your information and will take that data. So I think that there's a big factor in trust and making sure that the people that you are dealing with, that they have a track record of being able to demonstrate and show, and just I think as well, the foundational culture of the business and how that's set up and how they attract the right type of people and how they keep them, as well as a really, really important factor when it comes to the protection of data, but also trust.
Yeah, but why would I trust someone who happens to be based in Sydney more than I would trust anyone else. That's the same thing, okay?
Yes.
So there is that element that you need to be aware of, but it's the same as whoever you were employing, okay? But to me, the most important outsourcing company you should look into is really the credibility of their clients and who they've got in their portfolio that they're reacting for, and go talk to those people.
Yes. Hence why we're talking to everyone now. Okay, so let's expand on that. You've touched on it briefly, but maybe just reiterate on it again. Why did you choose us?
Definitely because of the fact I knew you.
Yes.
That was primarily, I suppose. But then again, right back at that first point, I didn't know you at the start. Okay, so I looked at it like buying a engagement ring, and I've told you about how we sort of met. And that is that when I was buying an engagement ring for my wife, I cruised up to every jeweler and I pretended that I didn't know anything about diamonds. Okay, so after you go see 4 or 5 jewelers, you start to see a pattern and you start to see what's true and what's not. And by that process, we put the same thing in as that when we're looking for someone to help us with our organisation, because there are a few companies that are out there, if you go ask them the same similar questions, you'll then start to understand what is being truth and what is not being said or is being bent around, right? And with yourself, through that process, we felt very comfortable, and then we give you a little project to try how that worked, and then there's the next project, the next project, next project, sort of evolved. So it's a bit like dating, isn't it? That you sort of, test the market, sort of find out who you may fit with your business, and then give them a go. Try your first date, second date, and we just continued on.
Yes, that's right. That's
Are we still dating?
Yeah, that's right. We're second, third base, I'm not sure. So, limitations. What limitations have you found around outsourcing?
Well, definitely the fear factor of the trust. Okay, and we were under attack last year from scammers and phishers trying to gain access to our information.
Yes.
What I really like, I think when I hit the panic button, I think it was 7:30 or 8 o'clock that night, straight away you took my call, we discussed some options, and you were on it straight away. And so coming back to, you can never ultimately trust everybody, because it's, again, when you're dealing with humans and employment and all that sort of factor, but it's when something goes wrong, how quick will that person who you've got that relationship will assist you and help you? And that was the big thing. So you were very fast, very proactive. Yourself would have looked at your own sort of procedures, because straight away I realised we're not alone with this. This is something that's going to happen often again to us and possibly others. So how do we go about handling it? And your support through that process was outstanding.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because I remember when that did happen, and I remember my first question was, I hope it wasn't us. It's terrible to say, but and we went through and we audited everything, and we certainly put additional measures into place to track what every single person's movement is in the office via routers, just so we could see what every single movement was. And whilst we had part of that in place, we really cracked it down to that finite level. So that was a valuable exercise for us to go through when you had to go through it.
Yeah, but no one's immune from the banks are the ones who are copying it the worst, of course. But if you look at it, just when you think you've solved it, something else is going to pop up. Yes. That's what you also need to understand. And that comes down to, will they pick up the phone that night that you ring and you've hit the panic button? And you've always done that over the 10 years. It's great.
Yeah, it's instilled into our culture as well. If it's a good one, a good thing, you never call me on Christmas Day.
You can get to no need to panic this.
Yeah, that's right. So moving on, what do you think your industry thinks about outsourcing?
I think that the answer to that is really it's two different thought processes.
Yes.
You've got the ones who are really the industry leaders, okay, and property management is primarily what we look after. Rental Express, Queensland's largest property management business, were very early on adopters of outsourcing, if that's again you want to call that. And I think that they've then taken away a lot of the fear, and then people who try to emulate their business have sort of followed them. But then of course you get the others who are slow to sort of understand the benefits of it.
Yes.
And with a role such as property management, it is very repetitive, and there's a lot of tasks that happen every single day. If you can have someone take those and do those for you, then you have a great ability, because often when you're so busy, you're not going to get to the repetitive tasks.
Yes.
So you can look at breaking down particular roles and tasks, and then achieving that first. Primarily, if you want to have someone contact all your outstanding arrears. It's a daily job. Someone should be called to let them know how you didn't pay the rent. You can look at breaking down a particular task and for that to be done. And I think the industry as a whole will eventually sort of catch up, because ultimately there'll be price pressures on organisations that can deliver better service at a better value, and then the industry has to look at how do they then handle that. And what usually they'll do is they'll copy it and emulate it.
And it's actually really interesting because I was talking to running a similar case study with a finance and mortgage broker, and I was asking him at the time, what does your industry think about outsourcing? And he said, we've been doing it for over 10 years. And I really didn't think about the idea of banks. And he said that it's not uncommon to have someone contact him from XYZ country at 7 o'clock at night asking about, how is this going? How is that going? Do you have this information? So in that respect, I think that they're probably in the, reaching that peak of outsourcing and really starting to embrace it, or really embracing it. And I can see that there's obviously a lot of opportunities in the property management and real estate industry for outsourcing still.
Yeah, well, I think that with the improvement of technology is really the key to making it work better. So if you look at my previous business, you had to go to the office because everybody would access a server that was based in the office.
Yes.
Now I work from the garage of my house, and purely because of the internet, right? Yes. And no one knows where I am. I could be in the Philippines, or I could be on holidays on Hamilton Island, or I could be in New Zealand. Technology and the improvement of technology is going to see insourcing or outsourcing become stronger and stronger.
Yes. Can I use that term, insourcing?
Yeah, sure.
It's on camera now.
That's right.
That's right.
Yours.
People have witnessed it. Okay, so finally, what advice would you have for people that are considering insourcing or outsourcing?
Yeah, I suppose again it's going through that process of it's like an interview process of who you're going to be in charge of outsourcing. You can go, I suppose if you look at it, you could go to the yellow pages or you could go direct and try and outsource it through some sort of website. I still like the local contact. I think that that's really important to us, okay? In other words, that night that something happened, I rang David. I didn't ring David's team members, although I could have access to do that. Yes. I rang you to basically assist us. And so to me, you want to work with who you feel most comfortable with, you being local, being someone I can still talk to, but you also are then handling your team, which helps our team. So if you want to find someone, you've got to go through that process. You've got to ask the sort of questions, and primarily to me is, who are they currently acting for, and go talk to their clients. Yes. Because that is key. And that's why I'm here today, is I'm happy to talk to you about how it's assisted us and how we're able to trust David and his team, and therefore, and we've got other mutual clients that you could talk to as well. And that's how you can make the decision.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's basically it. It was nice and painless, and really appreciate your time. And I've enjoyed working with you over these years and watching your journey and watching you continue to grow, and look forward to continuing to be a client as we grow and you grow at the same time. So.
That's right. And I very much appreciate all your assistance. That the success of Inspect Real Estate has definitely got to do with our support team that we have around us, and they again are very long-term people. And I assume that you'll be doing this for many years to come, David. So yes,
well, I still have hair. It's dwindling fast.
But thank you again for your support.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And you'll see our 1300 number obviously down the bottom of the screen right now. And if you wanted to give us a call and have a chat to one of our team, we're here and ready for you locally. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.